Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. When I hear people talking about Fairy Tail, they either say that it's garbage and that they hate it, or that it's garbage and that they love it. I honestly feel that whoever says that they enjoy Fairy Tail will get publicly attacked. In this video, I will talk about why Fairy Tail is actually a good anime, but also what are some things it does wrong. This video will obviously contain spoilers for those who haven't watched or plan on watching the series. One of the main things that got me into Fairy Tail and made it a pleasant experience was the well-built and developed characters. Characters like Grey or Erza have deep and tragic backstories which really make them interesting and likable. Grey, more specifically, lost his family to Deliora, a demon from the books of Zeref, but was saved by Ur, his master, and her pupil, Leon. Through the several adventures they went through, Grey's characters developed and he was shaped into the man we all know and love. Erza's case is very similar. She seems very tough and cold on the outside, but that is mainly due to the hardships she went through in the Tower of Heaven. All that resulted in her putting up all those walls around herself. It was quite amazing to see her develop, grow, and shape into an even greater character by tearing down these walls. Fairy Tail also has a number of very well-built side characters. Despite being introduced as antagonists, they developed into good people that were of great help to the guild and thus the plot. Gajil, Laxus, Gerard, and the entirety of the Horation Says are great examples of that. They all had great character arcs that showcased their growth. However, Hiro Mashima, creator of Fairy Tail, tends to not do these characters justice all the time. Gerard and Creme Sorcière going to Tartaros to fight the demons, but never actually getting there is a prime example of this wasted potential. It can be very annoying, but thankfully isn't done much. When it comes to the female characters, Fairy Tail, unlike many shonen anime, does an amazing job at making them look cool and badass. Mira Jane, Erza, Kanna, and even Lucy are very powerful. There have been many instances where the entire guild and plot depended on their actions, and boy did they deliver. Mira Jane turning into her devil she form to take out Fried, Kanna using fairy glitter to literally flex at the Grand Magic Games and fight against August, and Lucy calling the Celestial Spirit King on her own, defeating one of the 9 demon gates herself, and then freeing all of her guildmates are but a few examples, even though the way that they are dressed can be kind of fanservice-y. That brings me to my next point. Fairy Tail is infamous for its fan service, especially when it comes to the female characters. And although it can sometimes be very bothersome, it's certainly not a factor that would prevent the overall enjoyment of the series. Fan service is very common in anime such as One Piece, My Hero Academia, or even Naruto. Also, it is very commonplace in not only shonen anime. Prime examples would be Free, Food Wars, and many more. Taking all that into consideration, I don't see why people always criticize Fairy Tail for its fan service. I don't mean that it isn't a problem in general, but it seems crazy to me that so many anime get away with it, while Fairy Tail gets so much hate. Battles are a very important trait of the series as a whole. It's not necessarily the choreography that makes them great. There are other traits that make them good. An example of a great fight is Grey going up against Leon during the Galuna Island arc, and Silver during the Tartaros arc. They weren't good just because they had great animated cuts. They each served as a great way for Grey to evolve, both in terms of power and character. Some other battles truly showcase and explore the bonds between the characters. Team Natsu's fight against Hades, or Natsu's and Grey's fight against Marred Gear, showed through their teamwork just how much they knew one another. Their magic was combined in ways that boosted its effectiveness. Fairy Tail's fights can also be epic. Gerard battling against all of the Horatio Says is a great example of that. As a member of the Balam Alliance, Horatio Says possessed incredible magic power at its disposal. The 6 members of the guild alone supported a third of the entire Balam Alliance, which controlled virtually all the dark guilds. It was stated that every single member of the Horatio Says was strong enough to take down an entire guild. Collectively, they were able to quickly defeat the numerically superior allied forces without much effort. Gerard taking them down by himself, despite Merody wanting to help him, is a great way to not only showcase Gerard's strength, but also showcase his dedication to his goal. This fight deserves an analysis on its own, so maybe another video at some point in the future? Fairy Tail has a relatively small filler percentage, as low as 10%. Hiro Masuma was actively involved in the writing of the filler arcs from a point and on. He even oftentimes mentioned events that transpired during them in the manga. It's not very often that the creator is so involved in anime production. That sure guarantees a certain level of quality when it comes to its writing, and it sure keeps the tone of the series consistent even in the filler episodes. In regards to its animation, there are many things to be addressed. It might even need a video of its own. The studios that have worked on the series during its run were 4, even though A1 Pictures was credited on all 3. The first one was handled by Satellite, and I must say it was rather controversial. The second series in 2014 was handled by Bridge. That's when things started getting better for the animation department of Fairy Tail. For the production of the final series in 2018, Bridge was joined by Cloverworks. All 3 series had their ups and downs, but they got better as they progressed. Satellite censored and changed many things from the source material, and its Sakuga moments were fairly limited. Here's an example of a well-animated scene in all 3 series. Of course, that's not to say that there weren't any static frames, but the overall animation was decent. Since there are many things left to be explained and analyzed, tell me if you would like me to make a separate video about it in the comment section below. One of the greatest strengths of Fairy Tail is its soundtrack. Yasuharu Takanashi, composer of the soundtrack, did an amazing job at creating pieces that not only fit, but also complement every scene. It is very fitting and stands out from the blunt and mundane tracks which make up the soundtrack of many other shows. I found myself getting excited every time I heard it. However, at this point we encounter another issue. Aside from the original score, Fairy Tail also used a lot of widely known classical pieces in its soundtrack. This was a problem particularly evident in the first arcs. Those pieces did not fit the overall tone while also breaking our suspension of disbelief. Here's an example. Or in conclusion, Fairy Tail is a very enjoyable anime and doesn't deserve all the hate it gets. Sure, it's not flawless by any chance, but if you started with no prejudice in mind, it can give you many things. My advice? Don't necessarily make up your mind based on things you hear. Don't preconceive about Fairy Tail just by listening to the countless haters online. See for yourself. Well, that wraps it up for this video, guys. What are your thoughts on it? As always, tell me topics you would like me to cover in future videos in the comment section down below. Until next time,